Hello there everybody, Josh Klug here, and today we're going to be talking about how to use PHP to query an SQL database and then dynamically create web pages from that so you can show some interesting information. As you can see here on my screen, I have a roller coaster database and we see a list of roller coaster names. When we click on the name, it takes you to a page that gives you the information about it, such as the type, the height, the speed, the length, and a little link to go home. I see right now I just have 5 of them in here. My database does contain some additional information, but just for the sake of this demonstration, we're just going to show the extreme basic stuff. So anyway, well, how does this work, you may ask? Well, it's not too tough. We use PHP to query a database, and then the pages are dynamically generated, including IDs based upon the coaster ID that's in the database. So first thing we're going to do here is we're going to look at the database PHP. Now, what this does is it sets up the constants for the DSN, which is the database name, user information. This contains the host, the port, and the database name, as well as the username and password. In this case, I did run into some issues because most, by default, with MAMP, your default username is root and your default password is root. Well, as you may be able to tell from this video so far, I am using Microsoft Windows, and I use an alternative called WAMP, which is exactly the same. It just runs on a different platform. I had an issue in a previous class, and I think because of that, I had to remove my password so that way I could access the SQL database. But in either way, I have no password for mine. So now that we have that established, we can go ahead and look at the index. So what the index does is it includes the database PHP, the DB PHP, the coaster model, and the coaster view. As what the coaster view does is it basically lays out the basics for the website and then calls up the information. The coaster model, on the other hand, actually takes and brings in all the database information, runs it through loops and arrays, and also would generate the errors if there are any. So first thing we're going to do with the index PHP is we can see that it brings up a new coaster model, it generates this. It goes through this function once, and what it does then is it enters in this information for you, and then brings up and creates a new coaster view. So therefore it goes ahead and puts on the page title, bringing in the header inclusion, which is just a basic simple, here's this, and then it brings in shows the footer, and then it shows the coaster list. And then when you click on it, then it will bring up the details. So let's go back to the model here and just take a quick look. At first we just have it get the information. And what it does is it will go and prepare the database by selecting the coaster ID and coaster name fields from the roller coaster database. Now it'll only pick the ones where the name is not null. So there has to be an actual roller coaster name in there for it to actually select it. And then we go ahead and order it alphabetically. It's not necessary, but it's just something I wanted to do. And then it does an if-then statement to return them, and then does some error correcting to make sure that everything's working properly. Then once you click on a link, it brings you to the get the coaster details, and that's where it selects the ID, the name, the type, the height, the speed, the length from the coaster database, and it sets the coaster ID as this variable here. Then it tries this if-then statement if it can, and if not, it'll return this error message. Now we're setting this here because once we start generating our dynamic pages, it really makes a big difference. The coaster info is once you click the link, see this gets the info, displays it as this. Then when you click the link, that's where it goes and gets the coaster details from the model right here, and then right here under the show coaster is then where it generates the dynamic ID based upon the roller coaster ID. So that's pretty much the way it works. It looks more complicated than it is. It's not terribly complicated, but it does take some practice. So I hope this video was informative and that you got something out of it. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, have a good time or whatever something. Bye.